Ferrari have found something over the winter that Red Bull can genuinely be scared about for the first time since the start of the 2022 season. The new SF-24 seems to become a true competitor for the RB20, and with big upgrades lined up for Imola in a couple of races, Ferrari will surely be challenging for race wins mid to end season. Will we see them challenge for the title? And which of the drivers will be the one to ascertain its dominance? You tell us after this video. After the Black Saturday for Sainz and especially Leclerc, Ferrari's first misstep during the season was feared. But in Maranello, the belief in their team has never been lacking, and Sunday's race certified the good things done over the winter. With Sainz, who certified the gain of 6/10 over Red Bull in the winter months starting from a base below Maranello's potential such as the SF-23, and with Leclerc, who starting from the 4th row had to have faith in his team's strategy. Ferrari will need to close some of the gap with the modifications due in Imola, reducing the overall aerodynamic efficiency disadvantage, but they will also need to better tyre management in qualifying to start immediately behind the Red Bulls. At this point, the advantage is evident, and Milton Keynes has the chance to manage a shorter deck by using the performance advantage, which, although not being this tiny in almost 2 years, remains considerable. The predicted battle at Suzuka at the opening of this season provides a direct comparison between the 2023 and 2024 single-seaters, with only winter development between the two races. In truth, the Japanese weekend was held at the close of the previous championship, but we are currently at the start of a long season, with the first development packages having already arrived following the work done over the winter break. Unlike Bahrain, Jeddah, and the Australian GP, most teams have already finished their development between the two dates. Red Bull's strengths has not changed, and it remains ahead of everyone, but Ferrari has once again demonstrated the increase in quality achieved with the SF-24. Compared to a few months ago, it cut the distance to the Milton Keynes team in half and defeated McLaren on a strategic level, going from a 20-second gap to being in front of both cars. Suzuka proposed numerous significant ideas that validate all of the SF-24's features thus far: a substantial load, a consistent platform, and almost optimum tyre management on Sunday, which must be addressed on Saturday. Last year, one of the recurring themes in conversations with Ferrari enthusiasts was tyre deterioration and the challenges that come with it. This year, the music has undoubtedly altered. Suzuka, as well as Bahrain, were perhaps the most demanding tests of this season's World Championship, given the need to control the wear of tyres placed under extreme stress in all of the fast corners, traction zones, and temperatures that changed during the weekend, going from 26° on Friday to temperatures exceeding 40° throughout the race. Despite all of these variables, Ferrari has never demonstrated tyre wear weakness, particularly during races. The SF-23 made a major stride forward at the end of the season, but nothing compares to what the SF-24 is doing now. The data from the Suzuka race show that the Ferrari was the best car in terms of tyre management, particularly with the medium compound. In reality, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc were able to operate the C2 more effectively than the RB20. If Max Verstappen was able to manage the pace, in theory wearing less tyres, Sergio Perez had to push to take the final P2. The red team's two flag bearers worked even harder to defeat Norris while also keeping Mercedes and Aston Martin at bay. In particular, the Monegasque had a strong first stint, with speeds steadily rising, particularly after his competitor's first pit stop, demonstrating how gentle he and his Ferrari were on the tyres. During the race, Ferrari moved to a one-stop strategy, Plan C, driven by the Monegasque himself, after the engineers saw his performance increase and were satisfied of the choice. Leclerc therefore stretched his stay on the medium longer than anybody else, allowing himself only one stop at Suzuka, which everyone had ruled out due to the high degradation before the weekend began in the hopes of calmer temperatures. Ferrari had the best degradation value on the medium compound, while Red Bull performed better on the hard compound. However, the value is heavily influenced by Leclerc's longer and more controlled stint, whilst Sainz's shorter stint enabled him to push without needing to manage, accepting more degradation. Many facts point to the Suzuka race being more positive than a P3 and P4 finish. The margin from the RB20 remains, and at Suzuka, according to the data, it was around 3.5 tenths, which is consistent with the first race's average, 3/4 tenths. An important gap, but not a massive one, especially given the comeback in only a few months. Verstappen permitting, since these lead lengths should always be regarded with a grain of salt, given that, even for the teams themselves, it is difficult to assess how much the Dutchman controls the race from a certain point onwards. In Japan, the SF-24 outperformed the 2023 single-seater by 1.7 seconds, despite the RB20's 1.1 second advantage. In just a few months, Ferrari was able to regain 0.6 of a second from its car against the team from Milton Keynes, confirming the essential and exceptional work done in Maranello. Furthermore, based on the statistics from the first races, Ferrari had already regained 0.4 in Bahrain, a race conditioned by a less than ideal SF-24 setup and Leclerc's wheel corner problem, and 0.5 seconds in Jeddah. This value is considerably higher at Suzuka, since the SF-24's qualities adapt far better to the Japanese track than the SF-23, which had a weakness in the medium fast, which has now become a strength. Suzuka received more proof that, in terms of downforce created, the SF-24 project outperforms the far more troublesome preceding car by a mile. With additional load and, most importantly, a far more stable aerodynamic foundation, they were able to achieve a significant improvement in cornering quality and setup optimization. At Suzuka, Ferrari demonstrated that it is quite competitive at medium speeds, regaining most of the lead it lost to Red Bull at high speeds. Maranello will need to work on qualifying times to maximize the potential of the single-seater, as by ensuring a start in the first or second row, they will be able to implement what Vasseur has stated several times, namely, increase the pressure on Red Bull, exploiting, if necessary, some errors made by the Anglo-Austrian team. Look at what happened in Australia. Will Red Bull make more mistakes in the upcoming races though? And wouldn't Ferrari be able to provide a challenge without Red Bull making mistakes? Ferrari is cautious even though there is a big upgrade package coming in Imola, as Ferrari Formula 1 head Fred Vasseur has stated that the Italian team cannot ensure that its tyre difficulties have been fully rectified, despite good early indicators. Last year, Ferrari's tyre management during racing stints was a key problem, with inconsistent performance between stints and sets. The SF-24 has been competitive during lengthy runs in the first 4 races of the season, with Carlos Sainz winning in Australia and the team finishing on the podium in the other 3. Vasseur, on the other hand, is interested in seeing how the car performs at different sites and in milder circumstances after scorching weather dominated the season's early rounds. "I think from the beginning of the season we are much better on the tyre management," he said after the Suzuka race. "And degradation. We were, I think, able to do the fastest lap in Jeddah and Melbourne on the last lap. It was almost the case today for 1/10, I think. And I think we did a very good step forward on this one. We worked a lot on the weaknesses, and we improved massively on the tyre management, drivers, strategy, and the team. And yeah, for sure that now we have some other weaknesses, and we have to improve somewhere else for sure if we want to do a better job. I think this one is very well under control now. But what is true one day, it's not true the other day, on the tyre management, and we don't have to consider that this is done. Next week in China we'll have another tarmac, different weather conditions, and it will be a new challenge." Asked if colder weather may benefit Ferrari in their pursuit of Red Bull, Vasseur said, "In China we will have the opportunity to test in colder conditions, but I don't know because also we did only FP3 in Japan in colder conditions. I'm not sure that we are in a better shape. You never know about the engine settings, level of fuel. The DEG was under control for us on Saturday, but also for them, and it was almost the same today." Vasseur stated that the conclusion of the Suzuka race, in which Sainz and teammate Charles Leclerc finished 3rd and 4th, was as good as it could be. "I think that everything went very well on Sunday," he said. "The strategy was the good one for both cars, the defending of the position on track, tyre management was under control, the pit stops went well, the pace was okay. I'm very convinced that we need a good Sunday, and if we have to change something, it's more the Saturday that we have to improve, rather than the Sunday. But it was a good job and a good teamwork." Will Ferrari be able to challenge Red Bull in the upcoming races? Especially after the Imola upgrades? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below.